Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi everybody, it's this time of the week. It's Monday at 2:30. Please call in with any questions that you have, 888-994-4995. I'm opening up the phone lines and anybody in the studio. Studio A, please call in your questions, and anybody here, please feel free to ask me a question. Okay, here we go.
Sally, you wanted to do your show today on coincidences and signs. Is there something that happened or something that you're thinking of or you were away that led you to this topic?
Absolutely, yes, because as you know, my daughter passed away about a year and a half ago, and her name was Caroline. And it's amazing. This is the second cruise. We just came back from a cruise, and we were walking around, and they opened the show, and I said to Steve, "Oh my gosh, do you think we're going to hear anything?" And the first song that they sang was Sweet Caroline, and this has happened twice on the cruise ship for me, and that was my daughter, so I feel very much that she was with me. As my people that have been listening to my show, that they know that I've had nothing is, as I say, is coincidental. So I feel very, very honored that she was able to come to me on the cruise ship, and anybody here in the audience, and my friend, and I don't want to necessarily mention you, Sandy, but we've been good friends for many years. So if there's something that I feel that my daughter is with your son right now, so if there's anything that you want to talk about, please feel free.
Well, I'm happy they're together.
Yeah, they are. They're right now.
I'm amazed that you came to my son, he had a message, and you never even met him.
No.
And you just stopped in your tracks. That's such an amazing thing.
And just to let the viewers know that I was driving home from our mutual friend, Margaret. I'm driving home in my car, and I suddenly, this was a few years ago, your son had passed just a few months, I believe.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh, I've got to call Sandy. And I waited till I got home because I knew that I was getting a message from your son, but I needed to be home. I didn't want to necessarily be driving my car. So that is validation, the fact that we're even talking about it. He came to me very much to give you messages, as you know. And also when I came to your house one day, you gave me his picture. And later on, we were getting messages. You could not find his picture. You may not remember this, but it was under the seat. It had fallen down directly under the seat that I was sitting, and there was your son. I had not met your son, but he came through loud and clear.
It's amazing.
As my daughter is today, too. We've been friends many years.
Right. But he never met you, so that,
No.
you know, and you never met him, so
No.
it's amazing.
It doesn't matter because he knows that I am an instrument. I'm just the messenger to pass on the messages, and what we said we were able to validate, so I know that they live on. I mean, we don't often talk about what I'm talking about now, but just to let our viewers know that there is so much more, as you know, and we've had that validation, and I've had it many times. My daughter's name was Louise Caroline. She went by Caroline, and I kept hearing it on the ship, and this is the second ship from our cruise. The first song that they seem to sing is Sweet Caroline, and it's not like it's in the top of the charts right now, but they sing it.
That's a good hello.
It is, yes. And Dawn, you also know with the daisies, right, too?
They're right next to you.
Absolutely. So the validation is there. They tried to communicate with us, just to put this on record, just to let you know what happens. I feel that I am just the messenger, but because I can hear this, they come through me. And because I have a platform here, I feel that I'm getting a lot of messages, especially for people in the audience.
Well, I welcome all messages.
Great, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Anybody else in the studio? I open it up. I just to let you know, I do not know the questions that I'm going to. I do not want to know. Just to explain a little bit about myself, which I don't often do, but I am in a trance. Although many people may not know that, I don't even realize that. But I don't remember what I talk about. But later on, as this is recorded, I listen to the show and little segments come back to my mind. So I am definitely getting this from another place.
Sally, you said that your daughter is with Sandy's son. No, they don't know each other, but do spirits find different spirits based on the humans that are together? Is that?
Yes, they absolutely do. And for people that know that I recently got married to Steve, and he had also lost a son, and I feel that they found each other through us. His son is also talking to my daughter. It's just like, I mean, the validation that we get, I have to believe that this is true, because there's things that I would not necessarily have known, but because I'm just saying I'm an instrument to pass this message on to people, they are together. They get together in what I would call another dimension, but because we are together here, they want to make themselves known, so they get together. It's just like here. It's not a whole lot different to here, but we don't have, we're in spirit, and that's a whole nother show to explain exactly what goes on in spirit. But yes, the validation has been amazing.
What happens in spirit? Because I was talking to somebody and her brother came through, but then all I kept hearing was Caroline and Caroline and Caroline, and then I realized it had to have been your daughter, and then the song came on, but they would not have known each other, and you don't know this woman in this physical world. So how does that happen?
I don't think that matters, Dawn. It's the fact that they realize when they're in spirit that we are together and we're communicating. I don't necessarily have to know the person here, but they know, so they can give us the message. Just like I did not know Sandy's son, but they know that they're there and they can pass on messages, because I'm the messenger to pass that on, and I can validate that the best that I can. So they know to work through me to pass on the message.
Sally, do people have the ability to do the same things and see the same things that you do?
Do people have the ability to do that? I believe we all have this ability. I only really started this maybe 10 years ago, when for my story, people that know my story, it was opened up to me, and that I realized I can do this. We all have this ability. We do shut it down. You know, we're either scared or we don't believe it. But I think once you start to open up, you'll realize that a lot of things are not necessarily coincidences. They are messages that we're getting from beyond, let's say, the veil, but we don't always believe it. But when it continually happens, we have to say, this is not coincidence. How can this be happening? There's so much more going on. That's how I eventually opened up, actually. And of course, for people that know me, I had Aldo in my life 18 years ago, and I was able to have a lot of validation. The fact that I became an artist, I'm drawing things from previous lives. I had never been an artist. So they opened up my mind, so to speak, to understand this. But we all have this ability. I'm not special. I'm always saying that. I am not special. I am someone that's been able to tap into this, as we all can.
Sally, Steve wants you to tell the audience about the server in the dining room.
Okay, Steve, give me a little more information on that. I don't remember.
Something happened on your cruise and there was a server in the dining room?
There was. But I don't remember. Can he just give me a little bit more information?
All right, Steve, give us a little more information, and then she will carry on with that conversation.
Okay.
I'm waiting for him to write his
Okay,
answer.
we'll get back to that. I'm sure that I'll remember. I just can't remember right now.
So do you think other people have the ability to see loved ones, even for other people?
They do. We have to open up. You know, you have to believe this. I believe that anything is possible. I opened up because the validation that I get, the fact that I'm suddenly an artist, I'm drawing things from many lifetimes ago. I have someone in my life who came here. who was in physicality that told me he knew me from another lifetime. And I'm drawing things, and I got the validation even just going into the computer and looking at some of the things that I had drawn. They were there. I had not seen them. So I began to expand my consciousness, so to speak, and began to open up. And from there, which is now 18 years, I've had a lot of validation, and I'm passing this message on. I do not expect everyone to believe this, as I wouldn't have probably done 19, 18 years ago. But today I cannot deny what's happened to me. Too much has happened for me to not say that this is real. It's real to me and it's real to other people. How am I able to get names, messages, situations? I don't know necessarily these things. How can I draw from other lifetimes when I go into the computer and see what I've drawn, which I've never seen in this lifetime? It's very real to me.
Lopo writes in, she said, "Hey Sally, lately it's been a roller coaster of emotions and news. What messages do my guides have for me? Right now I feel okay, but I have to be realistic about it."
Okay, you go with the roller coaster. It's ups and downs, but go with what you feel comfortable. I feel that you're being tested a little bit. With that testing, just know that it's okay. So if you feel that you want to do something on this roller coaster, go ahead. Although you may get a lot of opposition from this, they'll go, no, 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 you should not be doing that. But go with your gut instinct, as I often talk about, because that's what's telling us what's real. So I feel that you are absolutely on a roller coaster, but go with what you feel is right. It's very important, even if you get opposition from that. Thank you for the message.
And Steve said, you saw the server at lunch again the next day, and he remembered you.
Oh, yes.
And then for dinner, something with the wine.
Yes, that was just, we got so many validations on that ship. We had a server who was really nice, and then, you know, he gave us our name. I am not good with names, as Steve knows, and as you guys know here, I don't remember a lot. However, we were meant to see that server again. We're in the lunchtime, there's a lot of people. He comes to our table, he remembers our names. To me, it doesn't sound, it was just validation that there was something between us and this server that was serving us, for the fact that there might have been, I don't know, 400 or 500 people in the dining area, and yet he comes to our table again. So we saw him the next day. Maybe, I don't know the reason, but there was definitely a reason that he kept appearing on our ship wherever we were. I mean, it doesn't actually prove anything, but it did prove that he needed to be with us at that particular time. I really don't know the outcome, but you know, we tipped him nicely, and maybe he needed the money, whatever it is, I really don't know, but he was meant to be in our lives at that particular time.
Let me ask you, what do my guides have to say for today?
Your guides, Dawn?
My guides.
Okay, all right. I love it when you ask me that question, because they come through loud and clear. They're telling me, Dawn, that whatever you're doing, follow your path that is already, it's there for you. Do not diversify. Many things are going to happen on that path. It's like the next step and the next step. But each step that you take will lead you, as long as you believe that, into something that's going to be even more successful. I'm going to say the word, and the word successful is coming through to me very loud and clear. Keep on your path. Don't diversify from this, because you're going to get distractions. Many things people are going to say, no, 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 that's not what you're going to do, or you are meant to do. But you know the answers. You have the answers. You're able to do this. I need to tell you that. So be true to yourself and continue with what you feel is right, because it's coming to you. It's being thrown at you. So many things that you're meant to be doing. Go with it. Go with it. Do not take the distractions from other people. Okay? It's very important that you see that. And I actually have to mention Freddie. He's with you on this path, okay? I don't know the other people, but together you are very strong and you're going on the right track.
So just stay the path. He's looking at you, Sally, like, what?
I can't see anybody.
He's
because-
looking and he's thinking, what'd she just say?
Freddie, are you there? Okay, you guys are very strong together. I don't often say this, but the two of you with your vibrational energy and what you want to achieve, you are great together. That I feel a strength that I can't even explain it. So what Freddie may say to you, or you may say to Freddie, talk about it, even though you may have a slight, okay, I don't think we were doing that. Sort it out together because it's what you're meant to be doing. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head. Yes, he's shaking
Okay,
his head.
Freddie,
No.
I'm going to ask you. Does that make sense to you?
Of course.
Good. Okay. That's what I needed to hear.
And just to work it through. And how about for my kids?
They're doing fine. They're doing just fine. Your daughter, I know she's not really in a dilemma, but she's saying she knows she's in the right place. She wants to meet someone. She's going to meet someone where she is. I know a little bit about the history of this, so you know it's good. Your son is branching out. I kind of know that I had talked about this before, Dawn, but he's on the right track. He is going to be branching out into a different direction. Still the same profession, but it's going in a different way. He's on the right track. They both are, actually, but they're just starting their careers. Your son more than maybe your daughter, but it's all good. Everything is, do not let them be swayed by other people to do something different. They're both on the right track. Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense to me.
Good. That's, you know, I say that, does that make sense? Because it's a certain person, one of my guys that always says that.
It makes sense.
Good.
Does everyone have a guide?
Everybody, Sandy, every one of us has a guide. We don't only have one, we can have 3, 4, 5 guides.
How do you get to know that?
Okay, that's a good question. First of all, you have to believe that you have a guide, and then that guide will guide you. So just talk like you're talking to me. You will get the answers, which I have mentioned on my show many times, by going with your own intuition, your gut feeling. So as you're doing that you're talking to them as they are talking back to you. But you've got to be aware that they're talking back to you. So how do we do that? We go with our first instinct of what we hear. That's very important. What we feel. So if we're doing something and you say, let's say, for instance, am I doing the right thing? You don't know or see your guide, but you go with your first instinct. And if you feel that you are doing the right thing, they're answering you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So continue doing that. You do that. Continue doing that.
Okay, thank you.
I feel that because I know you, but I know that you do that.
Thank you.
Sally, Pamela Purdue, she says, hi, it's my first time here.
Hi.
And cousin Linda is watching as well.
Hi.
And I guess while they have their questions, we'll wait and see. You know, sometimes in this business is ethics versus the business end. And I'm a big proponent of doing the ethics of business over sometimes the deal and other things that are happening. Is that something that I should stay on the right track with?
Ethics or business?
Yes,
You
ethics
stay
or
with your
business.
ethics 100. As far as I know, you go with your ethics 100% because that's what's guiding you. Sometimes in business, we're drawn into different ways to go, but be true to yourself. That word is coming very strong to me. Please be true to yourself. That would be your ethics or what you feel is right or wrong. Continue on that path. Don't diversify from that. Even though you may get people saying that's not necessarily the way to go, continue with your own ethics. That's very important.
Hey, Sally.
Hi.
I wanted to know, did you feel that just come in or no?
Did I feel
Did you feel something just now?
from
yeah,
you?
like the cameras just went off and like my hair just stood up. just now.
I didn't feel it, but you have the capability to feel that, which you're telling me too. Yes. I feel that maybe I feel that you need to ask me a question.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been feeling good. What
Great.
is it for my energy? What is my energy saying?
Your energy is telling you that you're on the right track. Again, I just want to validate for our viewers that I was able to get your spirit guide by name, right, which you had been told before.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're being guided by him. Continue with that because he's in constant contact with you. You are on the right track. You're doing very well. I want to let you know that. You're doing very well, okay? So just know that you're on the right track. He is with you. I mean, that's not coincidence. How do I able to get the name of someone that's not here that is your spirit guide?
Yes.
So just know that you're on the right track. He's very much with you. He never leaves you. But listen to your gut. That's how you know that he's talking to you.
Yeah, it just feels like I know how to do things, but I never done it before.
Well, because you're opening up a whole new horizon, so to speak, okay? But the more you do that and the more you come in contact with that, the easier it is to understand. Because we're listening to people from what I feel, and I don't expect everybody to believe this, but we're listening to another dimension. They are with you. So the only way that they can communicate is through what you hear. I only hear. I don't necessarily see people. I can see a little bit, but I know I go with what I hear. Mm-hmm. And it's most of the time very accurate. I'm not the only one that can do this. So you can do that too.
Yeah, my dad could do that. He
so there you are.
Things.
It actually runs in families, so I speak. So you are open to this. Continue that. Keep an open mind and listen to what you're hearing. The only way that I can tell you to do that is go with your first instinct, your gut. Let's say, and I bring this very much into a car where we're driving one way and we suddenly say go another way. Listen to that, because maybe that one way that we're going, there is an accident. The other way, not. So go with what you hear, what you feel. Okay, and you know that. You know that. We've talked about that. Okay.
Thank you, Sally.
Sally, Pamela writes, I met my spirit guide in a dream. She did not have a face, but she led me by my elbow. Her voice was very calming, and I delivered a message to a close family friend that needed help.
Okay, yes, she's opening up. Pamela, did you say her name?
Pamela, yes.
Pamela, your spirit guide is coming to you. They come to us in many different ways. The message that she's giving is very important to you. They can come in dreams, they can come in our thoughts, they can come at any time, but listen to it. What can be, even if it's not right or what you're thinking, just go with what you're feeling. I would say 9 times out of 10, it is your spirit guide talking to you. So listen, I believe that your spirit guide is with you. They're talking to you. They're talking in their dreams to you. So listen, you are definitely on the right track, Pamela. Thank you for calling.
Do you want to take a commercial break?
Yes, we'll take a commercial break. Okay, all right, thank you. We'll be back in a few minutes. This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Called the REM, the
Yes.
super patch. And the moment I put it on, I have to be in bed when I put it on. It sends me to sleep immediately. So I absolutely recommend what you've been talking about.
And also you are so in tune with your body, yourself, right?
Right.
And I think that's why it's having such an instant result with you.
Immediately.
Yes, which is amazing. So for those of you that want to experience that, the better health and bring the body into balance and homeostasis, I think this is a wonderful way to do it. It's all natural and organic. So sally.superpatch.com. Okay.
Thank you very much.
My
Eva.
pleasure. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. And you too. Okay. I think we're back. Are we back?
I do have a question though.
Please give me a question.
So I feel I have been put here for more than just average, right? How
Absolutely.
do you, and sometimes there's an overwhelming feeling. How do you deal with that? How do you,
The fact
How do
that
you-
you're recognizing this
Yeah.
from what I'm feeling from you, okay, is that we all are on a journey, so to speak.
Correct.
We're on a journey of understanding, of understanding life, of what happens after life. You definitely started that journey. I feel that. I get my famous goosebumps as people talk about. The fact that you are here, I've come to the studio twice wanting to meet you. I did not know you were here, and yet you were here. So to me, that's validation for me, as I'm sure it is for you too. So you are on the right track. You're opening up. You're understanding a lot of this. You may not even realize it, but I'm telling you, as far as what I feel, that you are definitely on the right track. You have started your journey, even by doing what you're doing, because we're here to help people, not just necessarily for us.
Correct.
So we're here to help. It's not always, people say it's about money, but yes, it's about money, but it's not everything about money. It's
Correct.
also to help people, and I feel very much that that's what you're doing, Ava. So I'm
Yeah.
very glad that we met. I'm glad that you are sponsoring a little bit of the patch, the super patch, and I'm very grateful for that. I don't overlook that. I believe that that was a reason, there was a purpose for this.
oh, 100%.
Absolutely. I did not know you were going to be in the studio. As Steve, and unfortunately he's not here today, but I started to talk a little bit about this, and here you are in the studio. It's amazing. It's how it works.
Because I don't live here.
No, and that's another thing
Yeah.
that you do not live here.
No.
The fact that you are here in the studio at this particular time, we are brought together. I believe that. And not just us, but many other things
Sure.
too. Nothing is coincidental, and that's my motto. Nothing is coincidental.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Thank you
being
so
here.
much. Thank you.
you too.
Any questions, Amy?
I'd like to know a little bit about DNA, like Rh negative. Is that any special significance?
Okay, I understand as best I can a lot about DNA. without going into the whole scenario of this, because I believe that we've just, and it's another show, Sandy, but it's a great question, that we've all come from somewhere else. Not necessarily, because although we've been here on this planet, many of us, many thousands of years, we are comparatively a new planet. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's one of my favorite topics. Okay, so we've come from somewhere else, and our DNA will usually, well, not usually, it does stay with us. So although people will say, what is she talking about? We have different, it's our blueprint, so to speak. It stays with us from one planet to another, whatever you want to believe. I'm not telling people believe this, it doesn't matter, but I do, and as you, I believe, do too. It'll give us our blueprint of our lives, I'm going to say lives, from different places. So the fact that what you are, if it's a little different, is that you came from a different planet. You haven't been on Earth maybe that long. You may have been, but you definitely came, as most of us have, actually, from what I understand.
So does that explain, like, my children don't have Rh negative? Nobody I know does.
Well, they usually, it follows that maybe they have, but I guess the message is primarily for you, Sandy, that you have this. And to tell people that we've been friendly for many years, okay? And I've always said that we have a connection here, because it's hard to actually tell people this, but I believe wherever we were before this, we were in the same place, okay? Our children not necessarily follow, but they'll have part of that. Depending on who you've had the child with, the stronger the DNA if you're both of the same blood type. Yeah. But it doesn't always follow that, because there are many different there's a few blood types. So if that makes sense to you?
Yes.
So it goes with your partner. If there's a very strong blood type between the two of you, then the child will have that. This is what I'm hearing. If it's not, and they're of a different blood type, it might not carry forward into the child. It doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have it, but it won't be as strong as yours. That's what I'm hearing. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And I know, you know that connection. I've said that to you, not necessarily on the air, that I feel that we were from the same place, somewhere in time.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes, it is. It's fascinating. We'll do another show on that, Sandy.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be my guest and we'll talk about it, okay?
Very interesting.
Sally, do you think our past lives impact who we are currently?
Absolutely, as far as I can tell you, 100%. It doesn't follow always into the life, it will come out in our lifetimes. We have karma. We're on a journey, as I've often talked about. So many things that we have to correct, let's say, in our lifetimes, they will keep repeating ourselves. So whatever we've learned from another lifetime, we have lessons from that lifetime. We have lessons from the lifetime before that. It'll come out in our lifetimes. But the more we grow, as I'm going to say, spiritually and understanding that, we'll get a lot thrown into a particular lifetime. I've had a lot thrown to me in this particular lifetime that was very prevalent for me to learn in this particular lifetime. It's come out to me so much so that, as people know, my Aldo, who was here with me, was my guide and helped me through this today. The few lifetimes before that, I didn't want to know, it was dormant. But my lifetime today has been to learn what I have learned from other lifetimes when I knew this. We're all on journeys. It will come back. It could be 3 or 4 lifetimes from now, but we will learn. We will learn.
Sally, people that can learn a lesson have to be able to make adjustments because life is always changing. Is it true that what we are living with right now changes constantly? There are adjustments that you have to make even though you're learning something as we go along every day?
Well, we have to, it depends where we are on our journey, because we don't always recognize it, Freddie. We will get thrown things that we're meant to learn. They call it karma. We've had something in another lifetime, it'll show itself in this lifetime. But we may not necessarily be ready to learn that in this lifetime, so it'll show itself in another lifetime. But and I can't go to beyond, because I don't know the answers there. but we will continually get things thrown at us that we're meant to learn till we correct it. I don't say that all the things that we're meant to learn are going to happen in one lifetime, but if we can settle a few things which we call karma, then we won't get it in the next lifetime. I believe this is just my thoughts, and this is what they tell me. When we get a lot of problems in one particular lifetime, we're ready to accept those problems. We may not see it, but we're getting rid of karma. Because if our life was just plain sailing, and not too many people have that, it's when we're not learning. We have to learn, and eventually we get it. But I can't talk beyond where we get it. I don't know.
But we have to be ready to prepare to make adjustments on that learned thought. And
Yes, we do. But you know, they say we won't handle more than what we can take. We're ready when we get things thrown to us. I've had a difficult life, and that's okay, because I was ready to accept that. I'm coming to the latter part of my life. We're all on different journeys. We're all at different parts in our life. But when I think the harder our life, the more we're meant to learn to get rid of this karma. That's just me, but that's what they're telling me. So if we've had a hard life, let's say, okay, I can take it, and let's get on with it. Does that make sense?
Is that like deja vu?
Well, yes, in a way it is deja vu, because if we've had something from another, and assuming everybody believes in previous lives, I do, obviously, because I was drawing from previous lives, so things that I hadn't seen. That's just to let my audience know. Can you ask me that again one more time?
Yes, so let's talk about deja vu,
Okay.
right?
Deja
Because
vu.
we see things of places we've been.
Right.
Or people.
Yeah, and that could be, and not always, but it's usually from previous lifetimes. It might not be the last lifetime. It could be, it's there, we're meant to settle something. And sometimes when we have a deja vu, which before I even really understood that, I could even tell you what the person was going to say the next second. So to me, it's very real, as I'm sure it is to many people. It's because we're settling something that we were not able to settle in that particular lifetime. And when I say that, it's usually important, because we have many things that happen that are insignificant, but it's usually a significant reason that we're getting that deja vu. So if we experience that, I think we need to take it in and see what we're learning from that.
Thank you
If that
for
makes sense.
Mhm.
Sadly, sometimes we go through things with other people involved around us. Is this meant for us to go through to teach something by what we do? Or is it meant, or is there a coincidence that it's occurring or other people learning things at the same time?
Well, as you know, Freddie, my motto is I don't believe that there's any coincidences. So if we're going through something, it's a lesson, and it's not always just for us, because we don't know the outcome of what we're learning. It could be for someone else. But what I do and what they're saying, usually that other person that's meant to learn that lesson is with us as we're going through it. Not all the time, but it's not just us. It could be, it's other people we're learning from too. So whatever we're experiencing, and I truly believe that the harder it is, the more we need to settle that. It's hard to say that, because they're saying, I've had enough of this, I don't want to go through it. But if we understand it, it's a little easier to go through it. We are thrown all these things when we're ready. We have to be ready. We can go through a lifetime where none of this happens, but we're not necessarily growing. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
That's a certain guide, as you guys know. When I say that makes sense, I don't know the name of that guide, but he's with me.
Well, let me ask you, because we know some of us know, your past is of that of royalty. Do you feel like you have learned in this lifetime from that lifetime?
Yes, I have, because I have had many lifetimes, about 3 or 4 before that, when I say, and I don't often mention it, as you know, as I was royalty, and my guide showed himself here from that particular lifetime. I don't often talk about it, as you know, Dawn, but I'm getting remembrance of that, because I knew everything that I knew, and he told me this, that I have learned, I left dormant in 3 or 4 lifetimes prior to that, but it's coming out in this lifetime again. I'm beginning to understand. And as Aldo, my guide, told me, that I already knew it, but I'm ready to accept it again. I had 3 or 4 lifetimes where it was dormant. All that I know then, I didn't want to know in the last few lifetimes, but it's activated, so to speak, itself today in this particular life.
Do you think you have a greater responsibility knowing you came from that DNA, that bloodline to now, as opposed to if you were maybe a seamstress in that lifetime with a different responsibility?
I thank you for that question because I don't often talk about it. Yes, I do have a responsibility for those that want to know. I can't save the world. I can only tell you by example what I believe happened to me through my drawings. How was I able to draw from the 15th century of things that I had never seen, and yet I'm drawing them in this particular lifetime. I have a responsibility to tell the people, if this makes sense for the people that want to listen. I can't put my views onto someone that they're not ready. But for the people that are ready, and I'm not unique in this, there's many of us, but I've woken up to this, and I always say that. I'm not here to save the world. For some reason that I am beginning to remember, so I feel that that's some sort of an obligation to pass it on. I can't make people believe, I can only pass it on by example, and I often say that too. From what's happened to me can happen to them too.
On the
How can you
bloodline.
find out what your DNA is? How can you,
Well,
like, what
there's-
were you in your past life? Or the
There's
life
different
before?
ways. Just to give you a little background, but I know we just recently met. I had my guide from the 15th century who actually, his name was Aldo, who showed himself to me here, who trained me, who had looked for me because he knew that I was ready. Otherwise, I wouldn't have opened up. I didn't in the few previous lifetimes that I had. I believe somehow the signs will be there. I was lucky to have my guide here in physicality. Not everybody has that. I have other ones too. Many times he proved himself to me. He didn't guide me, he let me tell him, and then he would show. But I believe we all have that ability, especially when we're ready. We will see the signs for that. I believe nothing is coincidental. We just don't always believe it. So we're all, it's not just me, it's everybody is, when they're ready to help us.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Sally, do you think our names have anything to do that represent our souls? Even though we don't name ourselves?
101%. I'm sorry, not even letting you finish the question, Dawn. I have always said that. I did not understand that. But yes, names are very, very important. I said that before I even understood that, because it's in our which Aldo used to tell me, the super consciousness. So when we name a child, or when we have a particular family member, yes, the names are important, as we have worked out too, correct? So I see it more and more. Names stay with us. They definitely stay with us. And I'm sorry, I interrupted the rest of the question.
No, because like Eva, her name is definitely of a saint. And here she comes, no coincidences to this studio, but no one would understand that. She may not even understand the capacity to you and me, but there is no coincidences that she's here with that name.
I totally agree, because I've only known you a few weeks, Eva, but it also, because we are of the same, Dawn and I, just to let our audience know that we've had much validation on that, correct? That Eva is I'm terrible with names, but Eva, to me it's the same. I don't remember names. Steve, my husband, will tell you that, but I can't forget your name. There's a reason for this. There's a reason. When we wake up to that, or we feel that so strongly, we find out the reason for sure. Look at us with our names, Sarah, right?
Right.
There are many, many things that show us. It's validation. And I try to prove that by example of what's happened to me, yes.
Because it's interesting, because our parents name us, we don't choose our names, but do our souls grow into it, or it's almost like choosing your parents?
It is, but as Aldo used to explain, we have a subconscious and we have a superconsciousness, which he talked about. We may not know it in our subconscious, but our superconscious, if you want to say, is a little lower and it remembers a lot. One of the things I truly believe that it remembers is names. It remembers names. So when we go to name our child, it's from a I can't prove this. I can only do it by example. It's something that's in there to show us that that name existed in other lifetimes.
So you think it follows us through the next generation?
Yes, absolutely. I believe that. Definitely it follows us. I mean, again, I can only show you by example what's happened to me. I knew none of this in the first part of my life. I knew that there was more, but I wasn't able to do what I'm doing until Aldo, my guide, who knew me from previous lives, came into my life to show me that this was my time, so to speak, to wake up. And I had always had this thing about names. I always felt that there was something about a name. And yes, it's in our consciousness. Forget super or whatever we want to call it. It's in our consciousness. It doesn't leave us names.
I think there's so much to a name. I think all we have in life is who we are, our name, and our identity of what we bring forward.
Yes, absolutely. But we only begin to see that when we see, again, it's so hard for me to pass this message on to people. I was very closed-minded maybe in the beginning. They had to basically do this to my head, say, wake up. And I started drawing from never having a lesson, just to give a little bit of my past history. But I'm drawing things from previous lives. Where am I getting that from? I'm getting that from my super consciousness, never having a lesson, never being able to paint, and yet I'm drawing buildings, I'm drawing signs and symbols from the 15th century that I had no idea what I was drawing until my guide came to show me, to get into the internet and show me what I'd drawn. I had never seen it on the internet, but I'm drawing from the 15th century. So it had to have come from somewhere. I mean, to me, I was stubborn. I needed to wake up. I realized that I could not possibly do that if there was nothing else. I didn't know what I was drawing until I looked it up and saw exactly the signs and symbols from the 15th century, which was a prominent life, which we want to call, and I don't often talk about it, I was a royalty at that particular time, which he told me, but he didn't tell me who I was until I figured it out. I figured this all out because I was ready. I would never have believed him. It's still hard to believe.
I was going to ask you, is it hard for you to believe and wrap your head around who you were in that lifetime that you remember?
Yes. The fact, I'm not going to necessarily bring up who I was, but when I've told a few people, they say to me, you had to have been that person, because nobody would make that up. So,
Truth.
you know, I see a lot. It's history, and I understand a lot from this lady of where she was coming from. You know what, if I wasn't her, she's going to greet me on the other side and say, what the heck are you talking about? I've said that to Steve, but I feel very strongly today that I was her. But I wanted to take a break from the last lives after that, but today it's very relevant. It's a bloodline that we share with certain people, and I feel people, especially, and you don't mind me mentioning this, Dawn, I feel that strong connection, as you do too, from that lifetime.
You know, it's interesting that you just said that, because I was thinking that as you were saying that, because we meet someone and we fall in love with them. You know, I came here today and I felt like I was home, and I didn't know who I was going to find or see, or, you know, but I feel like I belong.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
you do. And I can come in, you know, to this cafe, and I've been here over a year now, and they can attest to this. I may not be I'm not happy all the time.
Sure.
But whatever, I mean, recently, unfortunately, I lost my daughter a year and a half ago, but this has been unbelievably uplifting for me. I am meeting the people that I am meant to meet. I've talked about this, and you don't know because you haven't been listening to my shows. How many times, Dawn or Freddie, have I talked about the people that I have met in this cafe that I've known from previous lifetimes? We call it the law of attraction, but
Yes.
I truly, truly believe that. Absolutely, with all my heart.
Well,
It's
and
the
we
law
have
of
the attraction for that reason.
Absolutely, and it's somehow, it's like radar going
Yeah.
out. I mean, the fact that how we met a couple of weeks ago, I never knew you were going to be here, Ava. It's something that what you're doing is what I want to do. I didn't think I was going. You don't live in this state. I come in and here you are.
Right.
I mean, how can that be? first time maybe you think it's coincidence, even the second time, but when it keeps happening, it's a little more than coincidence, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. Yeah.
I'm glad. Yes.
Thank you, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sally, we wanted Eva to go back over the super patch because people had more questions, what they're good for, how they help people, that type of thing, and how they get more information. So maybe Eva, you can even do it from where you're at if you want to.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about bringing the body to homeostasis. It's about taking your health and wellness back into your own hands naturally and organically, the way we were made. So you can find all that information on the website. It is sally.superpatch.com. There's information in their videos on all the patches.
Thank you so much, Eva, because I believe that, I don't believe anything is coincidental. I don't often sponsor, not even myself, but I have to say, since knowing you a couple of weeks ago, I've had not a tremendous problem with sleeping, but I'll have nights where I can't sleep. And just to say that the patch, and I'm not here, I'm just telling people that this is what happened to me. I have had problems once in a while sleeping, but the patch also has what they call a REM sleep. The moment I put it on, I am sound asleep. So just, and this is not necessarily a commercial, but it's to say what I believe. It works. To me, it's great. And I've just been told I have 5 more minutes, so please open up to the studio.
Well, and it's important what you're doing, and it's important to share because we want to become whole, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And our mental health, our physical health, it's also important.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm also an artist, and some of my art is here, but I don't necessarily tell people go buy this.
No, of course
I mean,
not.
it's great. But when I feel that as my art also touched me very much, I feel that I want to share this, because it's
100%,
important for so
absolutely.
many, for pain, for sleep, for all these things. I'm only, right now, I'm on the one which we call the Defend, which it boosts your immune system. And I'm so happy that you're in the studio because you're not necessarily always in Florida.
No,
but we're
I'm
here
never in Florida.
So to talk about it as they had done on the previous show, I am a 101% believer in this product. So please, again, it's not necessarily about advertising, but it will definitely help you. So go into my website.
Correct. Sally.superpatch.com. And it is, I mean, when we have an opportunity to help someone, that's what we do.
And I just know you were going to be here, but here we go.
I know.
My
I'm so
patch.
proud of you. I am so proud of you for wearing that.
Yes, and I love it. So thank
That's
you. Thank you
awesome.
for being here.
My
and thank
pleasure.
you for introducing me to this.
Of course.
Okay, so we have like 2 more minutes. Anybody with a question from a departed loved one or whatever? Sandy, do you have a question? You look like you may have one. No. Dawn, Freddie?
Actually, I don't have a question, but I have to ask you, did Caroline, it's always Caroline these days, play in a field of daisies?
Okay, Caroline, as viewers may not know, was my daughter who is my daughter who passed, who showed herself many times to you with the field of daisies. I'm hearing that very strongly. I did not know that she loved daisies. Just to backtrack a little bit, when I was with my granddaughter, her daughter, I said, did your mom, I didn't know, love daisies? That you were seeing them? She said, oh my God, my mother loved daisies. So that came to you very strongly. So I believe she's with us, Dawn.
So I think she is with you again. She's always very strong, playing like in the movie Hair.
Yes.
In a field of daisies.
Oh my God, she had a very, very strong personality, very strong. So she's able to do this, I feel that, and she's with the departed people that I'm meeting, again, Sandy too, that she's with your loved one. She's trying to tell me of people of the same age as her, although there's not really an age on the other side, but she knows that your son is here. You're in the studio with me. So anybody, and it happened before this. When I first came to the studio, people were saying they just lost a child. Well, my daughter was in her 50s, but they were around. So I truly, truly believe with everything that I'm talking about that they are still with us. So anyone that's listening that's lost loved ones, they are with you. It's best that I can tell you. I don't know everything. I can only talk by example. But I've had many messages, many. So please believe that they still are around us. And I think that's a good way to end this show.
And for
Thank
more
you.
information, you can always reach Sally at callmezena1111@gmail.com or right here at the studio at 888-994-4995.
Thank you. Until next week. Bye-bye. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.